based on your areas of expertise, whether it's scoping the problem, technical architecture, implementation, or ongoing governance, what is the one question healthcare systems should be asking every vendor, and why should they ask it? Tom, I'm going to put you on the spot and start with you if you don't mind.
I hate that you're saying one question that really kind of there's a lot of questions that certainly that I would ask, but as you kind of looked around at RSNA, for example, there are a number of vendors really that are kind of popping up that are claiming that they have a dictation speech engine, but at the end of the day, what you know what is your ability as an organization to scale? If, that's the most you know important for me, at Lucid is how are you going to scale to meet us, where we're at and where we need to be as an organization. I don't think that that's easy to answer. I think some people can create a dictation system that works well in a bubble, but can you scale across multiple different even dialects, and get that recognition down and just embed into the workflow to really almost make it seem like a non-event for the radiologist.
Yeah, and I think that's where, if we look at the AI use cases, this is a mission critical system. This sits at the center of care. Just because I had a radiologist share with me, just because your system's having a problem, he was actually talking about another system, but it doesn't mean I can go to Miss Smith and say, I'm sorry you're having a stroke. Could you come back later? Like that is the importance of, these capabilities now inside the fabric of healthcare. Um, Dr. Seth, what question would you ask?
Yeah, it's tough to just have one question. I think speech is important and just trying the product and knowing, are there other customers using it? How do you scale? To me, and I'll steal from I'll steal from a few people, but first I think you have to ask the question, who's leading the design development of the product? Is it radiologists? Are they involved? And how heavily are they involved? And the other thing is support, I think, is huge. I think having a company that can support you through the process, build with you, and be a partner in this is a key component of it. There are many companies I've dragged go lives on because I didn't want the cliff to fall off from go live support to customer success support. And so I think we do that differently, and understanding what that means to your institution and to your radiologist is an important part of the conversation.
Absolutely. Paul?
Sure. I mean, a lot of people ask a ton of different technical questions in this space, and I think there's some important ones to put out there, like what infrastructure is required in order to adopt this new platform that you're going to be working on. What are the necessary licenses? What are the necessary piece of technology that we have to put into our environment as a health system? And will our IT team be required to manage additional systems? What do those systems look like? How do I fund and manage those particular systems? And, are there failures or incidents? Have there been challenges with getting these things set up and getting up and rolling on the platform? I mean, a lot of people, whenever we do large transitions in healthcare, it's questions about how we make that happen. And I'm sorry, multiple questions, but how do you make it happen with the technology that's out there today, and how fast can you get up and running?
Well, because Paul asked multiple questions, we'll have to skip Lisa and Joe. No, I'm joking. Lisa, it's your turn.
Sure. I'm going to phrase mine as one question to ask yourself as an organization and one question to ask any vendor that you're considering. So I think the question to ask yourself as an organization is, have we had conversations upfront yet about moving to a new vendor? What would that look like for us? So who do we need to get in touch with? How do we need to start planning thoughtfully within our own organization? Who will champion the change of this project? And some of those important things that just help your organization to be ready for anything that is coming your way. And then the question I would ask anyone you're considering is, do you have a support structure? And that goes for the implementation as well as what Joe talked about, as well as the CMIO role and product and engineering, and what Tom mentioned as far as just the level of support that's going to go the extra mile to help you recognize your success from an implementation perspective. Do you have a partner that will help you execute, that will handle it with care, that will plan it thoughtfully, and that will make sure that the implementation plan is both deliberate and concise, but also meets you where you are at as an organization?
And Joe?
Yeah, the question I would ask sort of builds off of what Lisa was just saying there, and it's, what does support look like in the first 90 days following go live? And then from there, what can be expected from customer success long term? And really what I'd be looking to hear is that they're set up to be a partner that's committed to ongoing success of your organization, right? So clarifying who your primary point of contact with, who you're going to be working with. Is there a dedicated customer success manager, or are you relying on a traditional tiered ticketing system only, right? How do they engage and drive adoption? What metrics are they monitoring to prove ROI? And are those the same metrics that are most important to your organization, right? So overall customer success, should act as an extension of the customer's organization. You should have that open line of communication. You should be, have someone proactively monitoring your metrics, your usage, ensuring that adoption is working well after go live and ongoing as well. Your CSM, they should really be aware of your organization's goals, right? At a very deep level, They should be your partner.
Yep. So if I could also add a question, I would, and I lived this because I asked this question when I was considering joining Rad AI. I asked for their model cards and governance principles. AI is emerging. The entire regulatory space and conversation around AI as a societal consideration is active right now. And, having something with transparency about how you approach this space, consider development, how you leverage this technology to enable patient care, the ultimate goal here is extraordinarily important. So I asked that. I liked the answer I got, which is why I'm here. And we shortly after I joined, separate from me, we set up a trust.radai.com portal that I love because it put those out there, able to be immediately accessed.